In March of 1815, Napoleon escaped from Elba and returned to reclaim his imperial crown. His enemies reacted swiftly, branding him an international outlaw. By early summer, the Allied armies of Austria, England, Prussia, and Russia had mobilized more than 500,000 troops and were ready to advance on Paris. In the 100 days since his return, Napoleon had scraped together 250,000 soldiers to defend France. Realizing the strategic situation would worsen if he delayed, in early June Napoleon launched his last offensive. In one of the most brilliant and daring maneuvers, he rapidly concentrated his new designated Armée du Nord between the Anglo-Dutch and Prussian armies bivouacked in Belgium. The Prussians under Marshal Blucher were defeated at Ligny and driven away to the east. Napoleon sent Marshal Grouchy in pursuit, while he advanced on Wellington's army. The first battle was at the crossroads called Quatre Bras. The British and their allies were forced to withdraw towards Brussels. Ney's initial attack was not vigorous enough at Quatre Bras, and this held him up long enough that he was unable to outflank the Prussians at Ligny as Napoleon had planned. Assured by Blucher that he would join him for the conclusive battle, Wellington on the afternoon of the 17th of June 1815 halted on a ridge near the Brussels road where he would give battle to the French. Wellington had visited this area before and planned on using the ridge to protect much of his army from Napoleon's artillery. In the valley below the first crest lay La Haye Sainte farm on the road at the southern side of the valley. Below the second crest stood La Belle Alliance farm. To the north of the first crest of the Namur road crossed the Brussels road. The main British, German, Belgian, and Dutch positions lay along the Namur road, behind the first crest. The French approach to the battle was up from the country to the south of La Belle Alliance. In the valley to the front of the right wing of the British line stood the Huguenot farm, the key to Wellington's right flank, held by the light companies of the Coldstream and 3rd Guards. There would be fighting around the Huguenot all day long. By the road leading to the center of Wellington's position was La Haye Sainte. To the east of the Duke's army lay Papelet, another farm that would be the center of ferocious struggle, particularly as the Prussian army appeared on the field late in the afternoon. In the Anglo-Dutch center stood the farm of Mont Saint-Jean, used as headquarters for Wellington's army. It rained heavily during the night of the 17th of June 1815. The French artillery commanders insisted that the attack could not begin until the ground had dried out sufficiently for the guns to maneuver without sticking in the mud. Also, the artillery of the day required hard ground because cannonballs generally didn't explode. They would bounce a series of bounces to the point of where they would go no higher than the level of a man as they landed right in front of a unit to cause maximum damage. The French attack began at 11 a.m. with the French bombardment of the Huguenot on the extreme right of the Allied line. The British artillery on the ridge behind the farm replied, cannonading the French infantry massed for the attack on the far side of the valley. At midday, Prince Jerome ordered the assault on the Huguenot, and the French infantry columns of his divisions moved forward to begin the day-long struggle around the farm buildings. At about 1:30, Marshal Ney brought forth 74 French guns over the ridge opposite La Haye Sainte, followed by the 17 infantry of D'Erlon's corps to begin the attack on Wellington's center and left. The French artillery attack began and was later described by veterans as the heaviest they had experienced. The Duke ordered his infantry battalions to move behind the ridge and lie down. This had the effect of shielding them from the worst of the artillery. After half an hour the barrage stopped, giving way to the roar of drums as Ney's columns advanced to attack. The French infantry passed La Haye Sainte and marched up the crest of the ridge, where Picton's 5th Division was positioned. As part of the advance, a furious assault began on La Haye Sainte, held by the King's German Legion, which was to continue intermittently for the rest of the day until the German troops ran out of ammunition and were finally overwhelmed. As the French infantry approached the hedge at the top of the ridge, the line of the British infantry stood, fired a volley, and charged, driving back the massed French columns. Cavalry formations were ordered to charge in support of the infantry attack: the Household Brigade, the Union Brigade, and Vivian Sassar Brigade. It was difficult to stop cavalry committed to an attack, and the British regiments did not readily respond to the recall orders. In particular, the Union Brigade continued to attack across the valley. These regiments charged up to the French gun line on the far ridge, where they in turn were overwhelmed by the French cavalry. General Ponsonby, commanding the Union Brigade, was killed.